Good morning, online Econ students. Welcome to week 3. A story to share with you this morning to get us started out, kind of give you an idea of where I'm at. Didn't sleep well last night. Uh, my wife and I had a bit of a scare at our house. We were preheating our oven to cook a frozen pizza when all of a sudden we're in the other room and we hear a pop. And I run over to the kitchen and I look inside the oven, and it turns out the element that's in the bottom is sparking and flaming. And so, quickly turn the oven off and watched it for a minute as it continued to flame, and it was spreading. So that was nerve-wracking. Went over to the laundry room and grabbed our fire extinguisher and pulled the oven out as it was still burning, and unplugged it, which seemed to help a little bit, and then used the fire extinguisher to put it out. It's a gigantic mess, as you can imagine, when you release basically a whole canister of fire extinguisher chemical into your house. But what it did after it was all said and done was it left Anna and I with an economic decision that we had to make, and that is looking at our old stove or range. Do we get it repaired, or do we just get it replaced? Now, this would be an opportunity to go back to that paced decision-making model and think about what is our best option, right? Because we could get it repaired, right? We got a company that we work with for other appliances called Bose, and they do a great job. Free plug for them, I guess. But the average repair for that's about $200. Okay, so that's one thing that we have to consider. And then we also have to consider what's our peace of mind having an appliance that's already sparked up and flamed up one time. And it's an older appliance, probably 10 plus years old now at this point. So you think, well, what is our most important priority? Is it the price and trying to get the cheapest, fix it for the cheapest or replace it for the cheapest? Or is it to get the peace of mind? Does that have a greater weight in terms of the criteria as we were trying to make the decision? So we went through Warner Stellian, looked at some of the different options available, and we had replaced a few other items in our kitchen over the last year or so. And actually, this stove by GE is the one that we've looked at. It's highly rated on Wirecutter, and it fits with the other appliances we have with the stainless steel scheme. But you can see the price of it is about $600 more than it would cost to repair. So is that $600 worth the peace of mind for us? And is it also worth it because now it's going to match up all our appliances? Our previous oven, by the way, is a white. Not that the aesthetics is a minor consideration, but still a consideration nonetheless. So the economic decision that we ended up making, and also the time for the repair too, was another criteria because without an oven, that we're limited in preparing food, and in the current circumstance that we have, we've prepared food at home. The last time that I've eaten at a restaurant inside was March 13th of 2020. And so we haven't gone indoor dining anywhere since then. We've primarily just made our food, and then we've ordered Domino's a couple of times because they have contactless delivery, which is what we ended up having last night since we couldn't have a frozen pizza. In the end, we decided, call Warner Stellian, order up the new oven. The peace of mind of an appliance not sparking up and flaming was far greater than the difference in price between the repair and the cost of a new stove. So just want to give you a real life example of how in economics you could use that paced decision model to help you. All right, so next, as I move on, talk a little more about next week's status. I'm sure you have information coming at you from your respective schools, or you will today, about the return to hybrid. Of course, that doesn't change our schedule at all. The only thing that it will change will be the office hour times, which means that the office hours will be a little later. They're going to be bookended with the end of the school day, so they go from basically 1:30 to 2:30, and I will end up changing that on the slide over the weekend when that shift happens. Now, one other thing I need to be honest and let you know about is I don't know what my status is going to be starting next Monday. I had been teaching remotely in the fall, so I haven't been back in a building since August. And I do not have the same opportunity to teach remotely moving forward. So the only options I have are one, go back into the building, or two, go on a medical leave. And so I'm waiting to hear the status on the medical leave. And if I do end up going on that, what it means is you would have a different instructor taking over the course and running it. And I don't know how another person is going to choose to run the course if they would just adopt the practices that I've already put forth. They would certainly have the freedom to run it as they see fit. To put your mind at ease a little bit is that I have already loaded up the rest of the hex semester into Schoology. So the lessons, the tutorials, all those pieces that I think you would need to complete it are in place. I probably will end up publishing all of the weeks before Monday if I were ending up on a medical leave. So again, I don't know what the status is, and I promise you I will let you know before Monday, so there might be another email message that comes out to pass that along to you if that is what happens. Okay, moving forward then, just we concluded level 1 last week. That's in the completed folder in week 2. You took the level 1 exit, and if you didn't do as well on it as you'd like, again, you can retake it. You'll just need to wait for me to correct the open-ended question about resources before it gets entered into the grade book. And then you started up on market forces, and so you did an assignment on demand. This week, what you'll find is we're going to finish up level 2. And so today's module 5 is, the 2 days this week, but today's would be on supply. And so you're going to be dealing with seller behavior rather than buyer behavior. And what I would suggest you pay close attention to is what a supply shift looks like when there's an increase in the supply in the market and what a decrease looks like. Visually, they can kind of fool students sometimes because the shift to the left, when the supply curve shifts to the left, visually it kind of looks like the curve has gone up a little bit. And so in people's minds, they intuitively think, well, an increase means that the curve is higher than the old one. And that's not what happens with supply. Supply curves, when they shift, and actually it'd probably be easier to see it this way, they end up moving this way, and it kind of looks like it's below the other one. So just kind of know that. I point that out in the tutorial videos. And again, I draw your attention to that slide that I created at the beginning of the tutorial videos that have the 5 factors or shifters of demand and supply. They also have graphic representations of how to graph the shifts, both supply and demand. And those will be important pieces when you end up doing your exit ticket at the end of this week then, because the 4 of the 5 questions are asking you to demonstrate a shift of the demand or supply curve, whether and an increase or decrease. And when you do that, also pay attention to the whole question. You need to indicate what happens to the market price and the market quantity after the shift. A lot of students will graph the shift, but then they don't indicate whether the price is going to go up or down and whether the quantity in the market is going to go up or down. There is a review session link here, and I would certainly pay attention to that. View that before you take the level 2 exit. I think it should help you kind of get a clear idea of what you need to do and what you need to expect before taking that. This is the next summative piece. So we have level 1 exit, and then this week we're adding the level 2 exit. The following week, you're going to have a market structures project. So that will be the 3rd summative piece. And then at the end of the course, you have your personal finance level 4 exit piece. So those are the 4 big summative pieces for this course. Those are the most important ones that you have to focus on in order to pass the course. And again, I've said from the start, my whole goal and purpose is to help you navigate this course and pass it. Module 6, which is tomorrow's lesson, is putting both the demand and supply curves together on the same graph, and you're given events in the market, and it's kind of like a puzzle. You have to determine which of the curves is going to be shifting when you're given an event. Is the event affecting the buyers in the market, or is the event going to be affecting sellers? Now, if it's affecting buyers, we're talking about buyer behavior, their willingness and ability to pay is changing. If it's an event that's affecting the sellers, it's going to be something that causes their costs of producing a good to either get more expensive or less expensive. And when the costs for producing something go up, you can expect that the supply is going to go down because they can't produce as much because they have to pay more for resources. And if the cost of production goes down, then the supply of goods, whatever goods being manufactured, should increase. So you'll see that as you go through the modules for this week in the tutorials. So I wouldn't skip over any of them unless you already have a very firm grasp on these market forces. Let's see. The other announcement that I have for you then is that I will conduct a review session tomorrow at 1 during our slated class time that we aren't required to go to, but I have the office hours open, so that will be on tap. That's what I will intend to do there. If people want to come in, I'd be happy to go through that with you. I will also be available at 8:30 tomorrow night, Thursday night, to review as well if anyone needs it. Over the weekend, then I'll be correcting all the work that is assigned for this week, and we'll enter or flag them as missing if they aren't submitted. And again, look for another message from me by the end of the week, letting you know what's going on. So good luck this week, and feel free to contact me via Schoology or email me if you need any help or have any questions at all.